Hello, everybody. Hey.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, everybody, give a little shake. Wake up.
I think Marty's rocking it or something over there. That's all right. We
You don't
needed
have to
that.
be sorry about that.
It's a dance party. I forgot. I always have music playing. I just tend to forget. Oops. Let me turn it off.
We should do a
Hi,
dance
Marty.
party on graduation. Just close it up with a dance party.
No
Marty
doubt.
will be the DJ.
You know, it's in my blood. I tell people I always have music playing. It's really funny. It's crazy. When people come into my Zooms, it's like I see them like checking their settings, going, "Where's that music coming from?" I'm like, me.
All right. Well, what do you guys think about us getting started?
Let's get it on.
All right. I'm gonna start sharing my screen. Okay, welcome to week number 5. We're more than halfway through, guys. Congratulations. Thank you for being here. All right, so let's get started. Today we are going to talk about different advertising platforms, obviously all online, but we're going to dive a little deeper on Google Analytics. Before we continue, just remember that the main session is being recorded. The breakout sessions are not. Remember to rename yourself. Just click on participants and then click on your name and do rename. Make sure that you have your cohort number in front of your name and last name. Now, some housekeeping. Let's talk about homework. I hear your feedback. Some people have been worried about it. This is the deal. The EDA is the one that funds this program, and they ask us to test comprehension of all of the information that we have here. And that is what the homework is about. We are giving you 7 homeworks, and you only have to make 5 of them. If I were you, I would actually make all 7 because this is beneficial to you, to your business, and to your marketing strategy. So with that said, I know it can be some intimidating sometimes, but just get all of those thoughts out of your head, breathe deeply, and just go at it with a good attitude. It's step by step. If you do something step by step, you will get it done and it will work. So don't be overwhelmed by it. I hope that you guys are using mentor hours. Mentors hours are to review the content that we saw, and they are to clarify things about the homework, okay? You guys can comment on the chat about that. I want to recognize our sponsors, Ruby Porter, Muse Marketing, Solar William, and Binu Creative. They are providing your prices for graduation in the form of consulting hours. And I think that is amazing, but we also have some additional prizes, and the way that you are eligible for those prizes is attending the sessions. If you cannot attend the sessions, then send an email with 3 takeaways from that session. Do your homework, 5 out of 7. And next week, we're going to talk about the sales pitch. The idea is for you guys to develop a sales pitch, and that's what the pitch competition is going to be on graduation. So you will have as a homework to create your sales pitch, and then we will go through a process of selection, and then a few people will present during graduation, and we select the winners by a poll. So I hope you guys are getting excited about that. The other prizes, I'm just going to give you a little bit of it. It's actual products that are going to help you improve your ability to create content. That's all. All right, our cohort facilitators. Do not worry if you don't remember your cohort number. Just send me a message and I will let you know who you are. And I want to thank all of our mentors who are here and are professionals in digital marketing. All right, we're on week 5. We're going to be understanding analytics and advertising platforms. Next week, we're going to do the sales pitch and conversion funnels. On week 7, we're going to be talking about content. So this is one of the sessions that's about SEO. You guys have been asking a lot about that. So that's part of that. I decided to add the SEO at the end so you know that that's what's about. And today we're going to see what your choice is for week 9. So AR is augmented reality. It's just a way to present your product and your service, your proposal in a different way. And I think it's very cutting edge. I'm very excited about that one. So we'll have your choice done today. Remember, the mentor hours this week are on Friday at noon. Everybody should have a calendar invite. There is an email that goes out 15 minutes before the mentor session, and you get all of the information to connect right on your inbox before the hour begins. Today, we were gonna do a poll on homework, but then we decided not to. So I'm just welcoming you to right now. And then we're gonna have Rachel do a presentation on ad platforms. And then we're gonna dive deeper into Google Analytics. Then we're gonna do a breakout session with an activity on smaller groups. And then we get back here and talk about next steps. With that, I am gonna stop sharing my screen. And I am going to present you today's speaker, Rachel McMahon. I should have asked you how I'm supposed to pronounce your name.
No worries.
Thank you for being here, Rachel. She is a highly experienced and successful digital marketing professional with extensive experience in all aspects of digital marketing. She is an expert of Google Analytics, and she loves to share knowledge and experiences with business owners who can utilize this powerful tool and leverage other available platforms to accomplish their goals. Rachel currently is the SEO specialist of a digital marketing agency called Anvil. And we're very glad to have you here, Rachel. Take it away.
Awesome. Good morning, everyone. I love that this session started with some music. That was a great way to start. So let's jump into it. As Ani just said, today we are talking about ad platforms and Google Analytics. Let me just get this full screen. There we go. So for the sake of avoiding too much information, the first section is just going to be an overview of the available ad platforms. We're mostly focusing on the more popular ones that are available to you. Then we'll spend most of our time within Google Analytics. I'll go through some overview information, and then I will actually do a screen share. We'll walk through the platform together. We'll do a little bit of a breakout session, and then we'll finish up with just some next steps and homework. Please, if you have any questions, feel free to send them in the chat. Feel free to unmute yourself and just ask me. I love answering questions, and I don't mind any questions. So please feel free to, if you want me to go back, if you want me to clarify anything, just let me know. Just a little bit about me. I'm Rachel. I'm currently the SEO specialist at Anvil Media. We are a digital marketing agency in Portland. I moved to the Portland area about 5 years ago from Chicago. So a big change, but I love it out here. And as you can see, yeah, I've held pretty much every position you can think of when it comes to the digital marketing world. I've dabbled in web development and coding, content creation, social media, paid, and even some SEO work, which is what I'm focusing on now. So in my career, I've really had to utilize both Google Analytics and various ad platforms for many different industries, many different purposes. So I've really gained some solid experience, solid knowledge about these two platforms, and I'm really excited to be sharing them with you. They're very, very helpful, very powerful when it comes to your own websites and your own success. So it's really important to get comfortable with them. So yeah, I'm really excited to be going through those with you today.
And Rachel, I just want to chime in for a minute. This is Caroline. I also want everybody to know that we worked with Rachel last year following the pandemic when we received another grant. That one was from the state of Oregon. And we did this exact same, well, a little different, but we did a RAINmaker accelerator. And we contracted with Anvil and Rachel, who spent a couple of hours with every single cohort member who graduated, which was 30 some, 40-ish or so. And Rachel literally did one-on-ones with every single member and helped them walk through setting up a landing page and looking at Google Analytics and placing an ad. So the feedback we got from Rachel was so high and so great that we're just honored and thrilled to have her back. So I just wanted everybody to know that this is not Rachel's first rodeo with Rain, and we're thrilled to have you back. So thank you.
Awesome, thank you. And I had an excellent experience as well. So yeah, super glad to be back. And then, yeah, this slide just goes over a little bit about Anvil Media in general. Again, we're a digital marketing agency in Portland. We handle everything from SEO to paid management to social media. We even have podcasting services, influencer marketing, things like that. So we pretty much handle anything that has to do with your digital marketing as a whole. And we recently celebrated our 20th anniversary last year, so that was really, really fun. But yeah, that's a little bit about me and Anvil. So to start, we are going to talk about some ad platforms that are really popular these days, and they're really accessible to a wide variety of business owners, industries. And again, if you have any questions, you want to know more information, clarification, please feel free to shout out some questions or anything that comes to mind. So when I say ad platform, that's essentially just a place that monetizes your online traffic. So you're paying to get either more traffic, or you're trying to share information on a product, service, things like that. So when we are referencing ad platforms, you'll commonly hear terms like PPC, CPC, or SEM. And basically PPC and CPC are generally the same thing. PPC stands for pay per click. So pretty much anytime your ad shows up, somebody clicks on that ad and you have to pay each time somebody clicks on the ad that showed up. Same thing with CPC, cost per click. That's essentially how much it's going to cost anytime you get a click on your ad. And then SEM is kind of the broad term for advertising on search engines. So SEM stands for search engine marketing. And yep, this is just essentially you're trying to gain traffic, you're trying to expand the visibility, you're trying to earn exposure from search engines like Google, Bing, and Yahoo, search engines like that. So overall, there's a really wide variety of platforms that are available to you. Each of these obviously caters to a unique demographic, a unique audience. They speak to different age groups, locations, devices, things like that. And it's really important to understand too that what you get out of the ad platforms is going to vary a little bit depending on the budgets that you have as well. So we'll go through these ad platforms. I'll give you a general sense of what you can expect to pay, or what the general cost is for each of these ad platforms, and get you a kind of basic understanding of the types of ads available, and yeah, where they'll display and things like that. So you can see at that bullet point to the bottom of the slide, those are the ad platforms we're going to go through. And then at the very end of this deck as well, there is an appendix. It contains some additional information. There's a glossary back there. If you're hearing me talk about all of these acronyms and you aren't sure what I'm talking about, you can reference the glossary, but there's also a formula back there to calculate your ROI, or your essentially your return on investment. So that formula is actually going to be really helpful to understand maybe what your budget might be for these various ad platforms, but that could be something that we can talk about during your mentor hours. We can make sure that we have a solid budget for you, your ad platform, and what your overall goals are. So that's kind of what ad platforms are in general, but we'll start off with Google AdWords. So pretty much the most popular search engine out there, Google AdWords is the way you create your ads and get them out there on either Google's search engine or on Google's search network. So I'm sure everybody here has been on some sort of website. You've seen an ad pop up in the margin. You've been on YouTube and you've seen the ads that pop up at the beginning of the ad. You're trying to skip it so that you can actually watch the video you came to view. But AdWords is, yeah, there's several different types of ads you can create within the platform. There are standard text ads, which is the screenshot in the top left corner. There are shopping ads. This is the carousel that appears at the very top of Google, and it features products, the reviews, pricing, things like that. There are display campaigns, which is what you see right in the middle here. Display campaigns come with an image, and these are often featured on external websites like news websites, and websites that you navigate to from Google. So you'll often find those within kind of the white spaces of any web page that you visit. And then on the right hand side, we have a video ad. So again, this shows up on YouTube. Oftentimes these are the short 5 to 10 second videos that appear before the video that you're actually trying to watch. So with Google AdWords, your cost is going to be based on the CPC, or cost per click model. So if we're talking about the text ad that you see in the top left-hand corner, every time that ad appears on Google, you're only going to pay anytime somebody actually clicks on the ad. So that's what's really nice about Google AdWords, is you're not really paying for your ad just to show up. You're really only paying every time that somebody clicks on the ad itself. So what I really like about Google AdWords as well is it's a really great starting point. So they do a really great job of setting you up for success. They allow for really great tracking purposes as well. So you can really cater your ads to specific locations, specific demographics, things like that. And obviously there are billions of people that use Google every day. So you have the potential to reach a very large audience as well. And then
I have a question.
Yeah.
How important is it for people to be utilizing Google tools?
So Google tools overall, I would say it's very important, just because Google is the most popular search engine. So it's where many people are going to be visiting. Most likely somebody within your target audience is going to be on Google multiple times per day. So Google AdWords, I would highly recommend, just because you are going to be getting that exposure. And then Google platforms and other Google tools themselves are really helpful to improve your performance on Google itself, whether it be Google Analytics for your websites. There's other tools as well to monitor performance elsewhere. So Google tools overall are really, really helpful to improve whatever your initiatives are on Google itself. So and so I see, oops, sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say that there's a question here on the chat, and you let me know if you need to keep moving. I'll write all the questions and ask them at the end. But somebody here asks, how does Google prioritize these click ads when they have multiple customers paying for the same demographic?
That's a really great question, actually. So the best part about Google is that just because you are willing to pay more doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be featured higher. Google's ultimate goal is to make sure that whatever results that they display to people is going to be the best possible resource. So one of the things that plays into your placement and your ability to appear on Google is how quality the experience is. So if the user clicks on the ad and they go to a page on your website, if they were able to fill out a form, contact you, or complete whatever desired action you have, that's going to tell Google it was a very quality experience. So the more quality experiences you have like that, the better chance you are going to have to appear on Google. But then you also have the cost per click information as well. And then there's several other criteria that Google uses to kind of rank those individual ads. But the most important one to consider is that quality score or that quality experience that people have when they actually engage with your ad and then navigate to your site? That was a really great question. And then, yeah, I just wanted to point out as well, at the very top of the slide within the title, you'll see the dollar signs. And so again, I didn't want to give specifics on, cost, because it varies so much depending on the platform, budget, industry, things like that. But it gives you a general sense of what you can expect. So with AdWords, you can only dedicate a very small budget to your campaigns, or you have major brands spending us several $1 million a year on AdWords. So it's a really flexible platform depending on what your budgets are. So you can either start really small, or yeah, there's major brands and corporations that are advertising on Google as well. So the next platform I have here is just YouTube. This is kind of an extension of Google AdWords, because you use AdWords to create and set up the ads that appear on YouTube, but it is a separate platform in of itself. So video content in general is really starting to skyrocket in popularity. And then, yeah, YouTube itself has over 2 billion users per month. So again, you're getting really good reach, really good exposure on this platform. So typically these ads are skippable. There's also, non-skippable ads. You can also feature a video discovery ad. So this is on the main library page of YouTube. And then there's also ads that can appear. They call them bumper ads. These are the ads that appear in the white spaces of whatever page you're on. So there's a wide variety of ads that you can show on YouTube in general, but basically the pricing for video ads, there's either CPV, so cost per view, how many people actually saw your ad, or CPM, so cost per 1,000 impressions. Impressions is just when your ad was shown to somebody. So this is not a CPC situation where you're going to pay every time somebody clicks on your ad. This is going to be how the cost for any time you have 1,000 people who have viewed your actual ad on YouTube. So YouTube is really great if you have video content to share, but yeah, just because it's growing in popularity and it continues to grow in popularity, it is an important one to understand, to just know that it is available to you. And it's really easy. You can just create them in Google AdWords and yeah, just keep it within that platform. The next one is Bing or Microsoft ads. So these are ads that appear on the Bing search engine. So while everybody, kind of assumes that Google is the most popular, it doesn't mean necessarily that Bing is not a good option to consider. Depending on who your target audience is, it might be actually a better choice for your paid campaign. So the really cool thing about Bing is they have functionality where you can actually use LinkedIn profile data to target your ads. So you can look at things like companies, job functions, industries, and you can use those details to target different groups of people with your Bing ads. So it's a really great way to maybe get in better touch with your target audience. So on Bing, you have shopping ads similar to the Google ads. You have, product features with reviews, pricing, and it's a carousel where you can kind of scroll through them. But you also have just a standard text ad on the right-hand side where you have the blue text in the title, the URL of the website, and just some basic information there. So with Microsoft, you're also following the cost per click model. So you're only going to pay every time somebody actually clicks on the ad. So when we jump into Google Analytics, I'll actually show you how to check and see if you have a large audience coming from the Bing search engine. So that's where Google Analytics comes into play. You're able to understand kind of these important details that will kind of drive which ad platforms you decide to work with.
Rachel, what target audience will be best aligned with Bing and Microsoft?
Yeah, so what we've found is that if you are targeting the Seattle area, because Microsoft is located up there, we've found that Seattle is more focused on Bing, but also I don't know the exact age range, but an older audience as well is more likely to be on Bing, just because that's typically a default search engine for the internet browser that they use. But then also, if your industry is kind of a B2B setup, that's Bing has oftentimes been very successful as well. So if you're trying to work with different businesses, Bing has often been successful there too.
And one more question about Bing.
Yeah.
Do those ads with blue letters cost as much as the ad with the photos?
So it kind of depends. Typically what we'll see is the ads with the blue text on the right-hand side. Those will typically be cheaper just because the keywords are going to be a little bit, so the cost per click is going to be a little bit lower than the shopping ads you see on the left-hand side. But that could vary. If you're seeing a lot of click activity on shopping ads, that helps to lower your cost. So it could vary, but yeah, typically what we see is the text, the images with the blue text, those types of ads are typically a little bit cheaper. Yeah, that's a good question. Next, we have Facebook. So Facebook has had an interesting couple of years, to say the least, but it's still very popular. About 2.6 billion people use it per month. And then with Facebook, Facebook also includes Instagram. So your ads don't just appear within Facebook, but you also have the option to display your ads on Instagram as well. So the really cool thing about Facebook is it's very, very inexpensive, but they also let you target very, very specifically. So you could really get nitty gritty with demographics. You can really get specific on interests, location. So Facebook really is inexpensive, but you get a really, really strong and effective targeting system within Facebook. So I would consider Facebook if you have a larger following, if you're really active on Facebook, or if your target audience is active on Facebook, this type of ad platform will be really important to consider. Something to keep in mind is we refer to leads that come from Facebook as warm leads. So what that means is people don't generally go to Facebook to shop around, to get more information. You generally go to Facebook to check in with friends, see what's going on out in the world. Whereas, with Google, you're going to Google to get an answer, to get information. So you're looking for something. Whereas with Facebook, that's not necessarily what you're there to do. So these ads are really good for introducing your product or just getting awareness out there. That's not to say that they won't be effective in getting people to come to your website or purchase a product or things like that. But generally speaking, just because of the behavior of people who come to Facebook, they're not looking to buy things at that moment. So it's a really great way to get just some awareness and exposure out there. You can use just images. You can do videos on Facebook. There's slideshows. So there's a really wide variety of the types of ads you can create on Facebook. And in terms of pricing, this kind of depends on the type of ad you create and what your desired outcome is. So generally speaking, there's a cost per click. So again, every time somebody clicks on your ad, you're going to get charged, but there's also a cost per like model, or again, there's the similar cost per 1,000 impressions as well. So again, it generally just depends on the type of ad you're running, but overall, even in my experience, Facebook I've seen be very, very inexpensive and a very good option to consider if you have a smaller budget.
Rachel, we have a question.
Yeah.
So this person has, and this is a good thing, a very specific target audience, and she sees them on Facebook groups. Is
Okay.
there a way to target your ads to an audience based on groups, like create an audience like these people?
Yep, that's what's awesome about Facebook. Yeah, you can target Facebook groups, the actual Facebook groups, or you can just target, different audiences. So yeah, that's why Facebook is so awesome. You can pretty much target anybody on the Facebook platform. Awesome.
Do all platforms allow you to set a maximum cost per day, week, or month?
Most of them do. Yeah, most platforms are going to give you some really good control, depending on the time frame. So it's going to vary by platform. So I know Facebook you can do per day. Google Adwords is per month. So it kind of depends on each platform, but you generally get some sort of time frame to control how much you spend for that time frame.
And one last about Facebook. Does it matter if the groups are private when you want to target those groups?
I don't think so, because it's just going to target the people who are actually active within the Facebook group. So I don't think it should have any issues targeting that particular group, but that's a good question. With the rest of the ad platforms, we also have Instagram. I also, previously mentioned it's part of Facebook, but these are actually becoming more and more effective in terms of getting people to purchase something or click on the ads, just because the users who are on Instagram are really gravitating towards this type of imagery, the very high quality photography that you see on Instagram. And typically the audience that's on Instagram is going to be a little bit younger than the audience you see on Facebook. So again, if you have an active presence on Instagram, or if your target audience is within Instagram, this would be a good one to consider. You have videos, single image carousel. You can even feature collections, which is on the left-hand screenshot there. You can see the actual product offering. And this, again, the cost depends on what your desired action is. So you can expect either CPC, cost per click, cost per like, or cost per 1,000 impressions. Twitter, this is actually becoming a more and more popular platform as well, just in social media in general. But with Twitter, this is kind of a unique situation where your ads are only going to appear on Twitter. So with Google AdWords, there was a few different options. Same thing with Facebook. You had 2 platforms where your ads could appear, but for Twitter, your ads are only going to appear on Twitter. So on Twitter, the desktop side of things, or within the mobile app. So again, this would be an important consideration if your brand is active on Twitter, or if your target audience is active on Twitter. With Twitter ads, you can utilize videos, a single image, a carousel, or a collection as well. And pricing is going to depend on what type of ad you create. So the promoted tweet is the cheapest option, and it's really going to cost between 50 cents and $2 per action. So again, that depends on what your overall budget is, industry, what you're advertising, things like that. But Twitter, like Facebook and Instagram, Twitter is also a really affordable option. Pinterest. So the really interesting thing about Pinterest is most of the searches are non-branded. So people are not going to Pinterest to try and find information about a particular brand or company. So this platform is a really great way to earn the attention or earn traffic from new customers. So this is a platform where people are generally trying to get ideas, trying to get inspiration. They're staying up to date on what's going on, what latest trends are. So that's a really great spot to acquire some new customers who are not there devoted to a particular brand. Similar with Twitter, Pinterest ads are only going to appear on Pinterest, and you can do things like promoted pins, video pins, cinematic pins, and then even promoted app pins. So this, again, pricing is going to depend on the type of ad. If you just promote a pin, that's going to follow just the CPC, cost per click model. whereas the video pins are just going to be the CPM model, so cost per 1,000 impressions. And then the last ad platform I have here is TikTok. I just put this in here because it is insanely popular at the moment and it is only growing. The only downside with TikTok is that it's very expensive. You have to spend a minimum of $500 per campaign in order to successfully run campaigns and ads on TikTok. But the payoff there is, the insane exposure and the insane interactiveness that you get from TikTok. So major brands are spending a lot of money on TikTok and earning billions of views. And then the small businesses that have tried TikTok, there have actually been some instances where TikTok has resulted in small businesses selling out because just the amount of sharing, the amount of distribution that takes place on TikTok is incredible. So depending on the type of ad you create, it could follow this cost per click, cost per 1,000 impressions, or cost per view. Yeah, again, depending on the type of ad you run. So this is the most expensive option out there, but it may be kind of the best option in terms of that engagement, getting exposure, and even getting traffic to your actual website.
Awesome, Rachel. We have a whole bunch of questions here. The TikTok haven't come in yet, but I have quite a few on Facebook, Instagram, and just general things.
Awesome.
So we have here, somebody just wants to clarify. Facebook is good for brand awareness and Google for being the solution to a problem or pain point. Is that a good comparison?
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it because you just think about what those platforms are used for. And generally speaking, you go to Google, to find an answer, to shop around, to get more information. Whereas, on Facebook, you're just there for the social aspect of it. So that's a perfect way to look at it where Facebook is more for awareness, whereas Google is going to be really great to get purchases, to get leads and things like that.
Awesome. Can you create, yes, you already answered this. The question about creating an ad that can run both on Facebook and Instagram.
Yep, you can do both.
Excellent. Apple has the option for users to say, do not allow this app to track my activity. How does that affect this sort of marketing tactics? Do your ads go only to people who allow tracking? Or does your ad start going to people who are maybe not in your target audience?
That's a really great question. And I just start laughing because I've actually had clients who have, experienced some instances where Apple has kind of impacted their ad performance. So the Apple update kind of really impacted ad performance. So that's where if you do have, a high volume of users who have Apple devices, it's still worth your time to advertise on Facebook if that's the option you're trying to go for. I would also try and think of a secondary platform as well to make up for the traffic that's going to, not be able to see the ad. So that's a really great question. And Facebook and Apple, that was a good challenge, but there's ways to kind of work around that.
And is there a secondary audience that will work better?
You can. That's where Google Adwords is great because you don't need to spend a whole lot of money there. Or if there's another social media platform that you've noticed a lot of your users are active on, again, I'll show you how to get that information in Google Analytics, but maybe look at another social media platform, or even maybe consider looking at some Google Adwords.
Awesome. If we're not on Instagram, is it worth learning?
It depends. It depends. If what you are offering, if what you're trying to promote fits within Instagram, if you have that like high quality imagery, or you could create those kind of assets to work on Instagram, it would be worth your while. And especially if your target audience, if your perfect customer, your idea of your perfect customer is on Instagram, I would definitely consider it. You don't necessarily have to dedicate a whole lot of time to working up an Instagram following, but maybe just consider running some ads. Only if if your target audience is actually active on that platform.
Excellent. What would a cost per like do for a business?
So cost per like is essentially, it's essentially content distribution. So if you have a follower who's liked your ad, their followers are gonna also come into contact with your ad as well. So there's a way to get more distribution and more eyes on the ad itself. So it's just more about if you're running an ad that if you were to get likes on that particular ad and those the followers of that user were to see the ad, that's kind of the way to go about that. But oftentimes the model that you see is cost per click, just because it's a little easier to navigate and control. Cost per like is more for kind of those one-off types of ads, depending on what platform you're on. But it's more about just content distribution in general.
Okay, and what about LinkedIn?
I didn't include LinkedIn just because my experience with Oregon Rain, I didn't feel like that would be a good fit for my understanding of what the different companies were. LinkedIn is really good for if you have a job opening, but it's also really good for B2B instances. So if you're trying to work with other companies, other brands, that's a really great platform to advertise on, or it's just a great way to kind of prove your expertise within a particular industry. So LinkedIn is really good, more for the B2B type of companies, or if you're just trying to it's just more for kind of an awareness aspect as well. For me, just knowing, there were a lot of small businesses, selling products or kind of selling or trying to advertise services that doesn't really fit on LinkedIn, in my opinion. So that's kind of why I left it out. But in our mentor hours,
Can I follow up on that? I'm the one that asked about LinkedIn. This is
sure.
Why I asked that, because my business is so niche-y to begin with that it's ADA compliance and conformance, and most of the people that I target, that's where I find them. They're on LinkedIn. They're
awesome.
They're CTOs, they're tech people. That's where they live. So they check their profiles. I know what time they're there. So it's like I'm trying to figure out how to hit them there.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And so like you said, if you know your audience or if you know your customers are active on this platform at this time, definitely go for LinkedIn. That's an excellent way to kind of think about the platform in general and how to reach your target audience. Just more generally speaking, LinkedIn is for those instances where you're trying to reach CTOs or kind of the B2B instance.
Okay. Thank
you.
And in the mentor hours too, we can definitely take a look at LinkedIn as well.
Okay. That'd be great. Thanks.
For sure.
Thank you, Rachel.
Of course.
Is it possible to see a good return on investment on a low budget Google ad? Or do you really need to buy in to see that return? And when she says low budget, she means $500 or less. I don't know if this is, I would imagine it's per year. Kate, if you can clarify that would be great.
Typically the more you spend, the more return on investment you're going to see, just because you're giving your ad the option to be in contact with more people. You can get some good value from smaller budgets on Google AdWords. It all depends on the targeting that you have set up, kind of the ad schedule. So there's really great ways in Google AdWords to have very good control over when your ad's going to show, who your ad's going to show to. So that allows smaller budgets to be a little bit more successful on the platform. So it is possible, it's just because if you have more money to spend, you have more exposure to earn. So I think we should keep going, because I know we are trying to aim for the 10 a.m. for the breakout session. So if that's okay, you can keep going.
Yep, that sounds good. I have all the questions written down anyways.
Awesome. Perfect. Yeah, great questions, everyone. And if we don't answer anything, I'd be happy to answer them during mentor hours. So I'll keep your questions in the back of my head as well. So we'll make sure everybody gets their questions answered. The next section is going to be Google Analytics. So this is going to be more of a deep dive on this platform. It's one of the platforms that I am very comfortable with. I know a lot about Google Analytics, so it's a really great tool to understand your website traffic. Where is your traffic coming from? What are they doing when they come onto your website? Are they clicking on things? Are they filling out forms? So this platform really allows you to get all of that information. So Google Analytics is a very powerful tool to understand, what's going on in terms of your website and where your traffic is coming from. So this slide goes into how to actually set up a brand new Google Analytics account. If you already have Google Analytics, this is going to, you won't need to worry about this slide. So this is more for the people who do not have a Google Analytics account set up. So basically what you do is really easy. You can just go to analytics.google.com. You'll need to have a Google account in order to have a Google Analytics account. So you'll either sign in with an existing Google account, or you can just create one to then create your Google Analytics account. They'll have you enter in your account details. I would leave the boxes as they are. You don't have to worry about checking them, unchecking them. But basically, you just need to enter in your account name. Generally speaking, it's the company name or the name of your brand. And then you have the property details. So this is where you're going to put in which website you are trying to get more information about. That's going to go in the property name right there. And then in my opinion, for those who are new to Google Analytics, I strongly recommend you focus on universal analytics only. I'll get into some specifics in just a moment, but you'll want to click on this show advanced options. And then where it says create a universal analytics property, you'll want to make sure that is turned on, and you'll just copy and paste your URL and create your universal analytics property only. So it is my recommendation, just because there is a brand new type of Google Analytics called GA4. It's completely different than universal analytics. And just in my experience, I've found that universal analytics is easier to work with, easier to understand from a beginner standpoint. So by all means, if you want to explore GA4, absolutely go for it. If you're a beginner though, I would strongly recommend focusing on the universal analytics account. When you set up your Google Analytics account, you're going to get a tracking code. So this is essentially the way you're going to connect Google Analytics with your actual website. So you're going to get a code snippet that's going to have to be placed on your website somehow. So if you already have a Google Analytics account, you can just access this information from the gear icon or the admin section. It's at the very bottom on the left-hand side. And then within the property column, you can click on tracking info or tracking code to get the information that you see on the right-hand side. So the tracking ID is always going to start with a UA if you're using Universal Analytics. And then, you're going to have this global site tag. This is going to have to be placed on every single page of your website. So it's really easy to do if you have platforms like WordPress, Wix, Shopify. Those platforms really allow for easy implementation of your Google Analytics tracking code. So,
question, Rachel?
Yeah.
If you have a Google account under your own name, is it best to do it under your business name, or is there no difference there?
It just depends. If you are the only one using your Google Analytics account, you can totally leave it as your name. Having the account as your business name is more for if you have a team that's going to be accessing the Google Analytics account. But if you are the only one using it, then you can totally just leave it as your own name. That's perfectly fine. And then, so this slide just goes over how to actually insert that Google Analytics code into different platforms. There's several different types of website platforms to build your actual website. So these I've found have been the more popular platforms that people have used. So with WordPress, there are some plugin options you can use where essentially you just copy and paste your analytics tracking code and it takes care of the rest. With Shopify, you can just use that Google ID number, the UA number, copy and paste, and that will connect the two platforms. And then with Wix, it's the same thing. You're just going to need that identification number, copy and paste, and you'll be good to go. So depending on the platform, setup might look a little different. If by our mentor hours, if you still haven't been able to connect the platform with your website, that's totally fine. We can absolutely kind of go step by step to make sure that Google Analytics is properly configured within your website. But yeah, generally speaking, it's really easy to do if you have one of these platforms or a similar platform like Squarespace.
Yes, somebody just asked if it integrates with Squarespace.
Yes, yeah, any platform, yeah, Squarespace, Wix, GoDaddy, I can't even think of all of the platforms, but pretty much all of those have a really easy way to connect Google Analytics with your website. And with Squarespace, it'll probably follow the steps of either Shopify or Wix, where there's a marketing section, and you'll probably just have to copy and paste the UA identification number. So this is just a quick screenshot to show you the differences between Universal Analytics and Google, the Google Analytics 4 type of account. As you can see, they're incredibly different. The way that you go about looking through reports is entirely different. So that's where I've found, if you're starting out with Google Analytics, if you're new to the platform, I highly recommend the left-hand side. It's very easy for beginners to get the understanding of where everything lives and how to get all of the information. Whereas GA4 is a little bit more, it's brand new. It's a little bit, it's just a little bit different. And yeah, for beginners, I've just found that the Universal Analytics is a good place to start. So overall, this is just a really quick snippet of what a typical account structure looks like. So at the very top level, you have the organization. This could also just be your name. That's totally fine. It's just, it just tells you what this Google Analytics account is for. The next level is the account level. So this is just how people are going to access the particular Google Analytics, the Google Analytics tracking information that you have. The property level, this is what you are getting information about. So this is your website. You can actually track mobile applications in Google Analytics, device, things like that. So that's just what you're getting information about. And then at the view level, this is just different access points for reports. So in Google Analytics, what you're able to do is create different views for to kind of house different pieces of information that you're interested in organizing. So for example, you can have one view that just has all of your website data. You can create a second view for just your AdWords traffic. So it's a great way to organize and filter out different information and kind of organize things according to what you are most interested in. Generally speaking, though, you'll often mostly just see all website data as your own view. So you don't have to worry about creating additional views. That's only if you're interested in seeing a specific group of or specific type of traffic. So yeah, generally speaking, you'll just see the all website data under view. And then what can you actually get from Google Analytics? Again, this is Universal Analytics. So on the left-hand side, you have 5 reports you can choose from. Real time, what's happening at this very moment. This is a really great report to just understand if your Google Analytics code is firing properly, or if you have other tags on your site that you want to test and make sure they're firing. That's a great report to do so. Audience. This is where you learn all about your users, where are they coming from, what device are they on, how often are people coming back to my site, things like that. Acquisition is how your users actually found your website, what social platforms did they visit before they came to your site, which pieces of content, what pages are ranking well, what pages are not getting traffic. In terms of behavior, what is actually happening when users come to your site? Are they going to a specific page and then leaving? Do they read the desired piece of content that I'm trying to push? Are they downloading the PDF I have on my website? Are they watching the video I have on my website? And then conversions are the desired action that you want users to take when they come to your site. So oftentimes this is a product purchase, a form fill, depending on how your site is set up or what your ultimate goal is. It could be phone calls. So this is directly related to your overall website performance. So yeah, are people placing the product in the cart and then leaving? Are people actually purchasing things? How much are they purchasing? So there are endless amounts of questions that can be answered with Google Analytics, which is why it's so important to understand and get comfortable with, because if you don't have Google Analytics, you're kind of going about all of these different scenarios blind. You don't have the information you need to make that educated decision. We are actually going to go and do a screen share in just a moment to go through Google Analytics. But yeah, this is just a quick overview to give you an understanding of, generally speaking, where all of this information lives. We have one way to track user activity on a website is through event tracking. So these are just different actions that users take when they come to your site. So you have, video views, clicks, form fills, even scrolling data. We can see how far users scroll on any given page to really get a full understanding of what happens when a user comes to my site. Are they actually clicking on things? Are they ignoring things? So yeah, it's a really great way to understand that engagement. If you don't currently have event tracking set up, I highly recommend you start considering the different interactions you would like users to take on your site or things you're curious about. And what we can do during the mentor hours is discuss how you actually go about implementing event tracking on Google Analytics. The easiest way is through Google Tag Manager. This is a completely separate platform, but basically what Google Tag Manager allows you to do is quickly insert and manage different code snippets and different tags that control event tracking, conversion tracking, things like that. So this we can discuss during mentor hours, but there's a really easy way to start tracking engagement on your website. So events are just any sort of user activity that you would like to track on your website. And then taking that a step further is goal tracking, or the conversions that we looked at. So these are directly correlated to the whatever desired action you have on your website. So if you are selling products, you are trying to understand, revenue, product purchases, things like that. But conversions can also be form fills if people called you. So if they completed the desired action on your site. So goal tracking is really important, probably one of the more important reports to monitor, because this is the way you are measuring the overall success of your website. Because we, obviously we want people to come to our website, but if they're coming to my website, they're not calling me, they're not filling out a form, then I need to change something in order to get more of that action. So this is a really great tool to monitor, to understand where things have grown, where things maybe need some improvement, and trying to understand what those improvements are. Again, this kind of ties into event tracking. So if you already have conversions set up, perfect. But if you don't, maybe think about if you have, phone numbers, if you have forms, downloads, whatever that most important action is, try to think about what that is so we can get that set up during your mentor hours. And then the last one I have here is just e-commerce. Google has a very helpful e-commerce report where you can understand not only overall product purchases and revenue, you can also look at if people are adding things to their cart, leaving, or if they're actually stepping through the entire process and completing a transaction. You can see what the average order value is, which products are your best sellers, how long it takes for people to make a purchase when they come to your site. So you really get a sense of the entire buying experience. So this report is really helpful for understanding product performance, shopping behavior, and maybe understanding some user experience components as well. So before we jump into the screen share, I just have some really quick important tips and pieces of information that I've learned over the years that have helped me be successful in Google Analytics. The first is the best way to get comfortable is just to click around and explore. Click through all of the reports, try to understand what the different metrics are, and just get a sense of where everything lives. Within Google Analytics, there's nothing that you can break or mess up or damage. So really feel free to click around and get comfortable. As I mentioned, it's really helpful, very powerful. It's a very powerful tool that provides that guidance you need to make decisions, kind of tying this back to the ad platforms. Without Google Analytics, you kind of are guessing as to where your audience is active, but with Google Analytics, we can get an understanding of which social platforms are sending traffic our way to give us a, some decisions on, to allow us to make decisions on which ad platforms we might want to advertise on. Before you start messing with kind of the advanced features, just, take it slow, get to know the platform, get comfortable before you start creating different views, playing with segments, things like that. Make sure that with Google Analytics, you can actually do a free certification course. What this does is gives you a very deep dive into the platform. You get some, practice assessments to go through to get comfortable with the platform. So it's just something to consider if you're really trying to get comfortable with the platform. It's a really helpful way to do so. So just consider stepping through that free certification course that Google offers. And anything we don't address today, we'll take care of within the allotted mentor hours. If there's specific things that you're curious about that we don't cover, we'll make sure to do so once we get to the mentor hours. So with that, I will just do a quick walkthrough before we do the breakout activity. So let me jump from the PowerPoint to Google Analytics itself. So whenever you log in, again, this is Universal Analytics. You'll start off with this kind of dashboard right now. We are on the real-time report. So this is going to show what's happening at this very moment. We can see what, where those users actually came from, what page those users are active on right now. So yeah, this is the real time is the report that I probably spend the least amount of time in, just because I mostly use it to validate that things are firing properly. So if you set up Google Analytics into, if you connect it with your website, this is how you make sure that it's firing properly. If you see a 0 here, and you've already tried to install Google Analytics, there's an issue with Google Analytics firing. So if you've installed Google Analytics, you want to make sure that you start seeing real-time users from this report. So that's a really easy way to make sure that things are firing as they should. So this first one is audience. This is again one of the reports that I spend a lot of time in. So I like to start off with this overview report. This gives me a snapshot as to how things are trending overall. And so the nice part about Google Analytics is I can go up here in the top right-hand corner and I can actually control the date range of, what the date range of what information I'm getting. So for this instance, I'm just kind of curious about September. So I can actually just highlight September and get information about this particular month. I can see, how many users came to my site, sessions. This is the number of users who spent more than 30 seconds on your website. Sessions per user, how often the user comes back. So if you see a number like 1.2, that means typically users are only coming to your site once. And then you have a few users who are coming to the site twice. So if you're trying to get people to come back to your site multiple times, ideally you want to see this number be higher than 1. Page views, this is kind of self-explanatory, but it's just how many pages people viewed when they came to your site. pages per session, how many individual pages people viewed while they were on your site. So in this case, users mostly look at about 4 pages when they come to the site. Average session duration, how long the user spent when they were on the site. And then bounce rate, this is the percentage of people who come to your site and then immediately leave. They don't spend enough time on the site to be counted as a session. They don't click on anything, they just leave. So this is a great way to understand how things are trending at the very moment. I can also come up here, do some comparisons to see if things have improved or decreased from either the previous month, or I can even look at the previous year to see if I've improved things from last year, or if there's some areas of improvement. So yeah, the comparative tool is really helpful to understand overall performance. But for this, just for the sake of training, I'll just keep it on September. Maybe I want to understand where my users are actually coming from. So I will go to this geo section. I'll click on location. And let's give it a second to load. And this report will actually tell me where my users are coming from. This is where Google gets a little creepy because you can see just how specific we can get. So we can actually click on the items that you see here in the left-hand side. So if I'm trying to understand where in the United States most of my users are coming from, I can actually get information at a state level, or I can keep clicking through and try to understand the actual cities from where my users came. So I can understand, okay, in California, most of my users are coming from San Francisco. So this would be really helpful for location targeting on your ad platforms and Google AdWords. You can target specific locations, Facebook you can too. So this is a really great report to reference if you're trying to publish ads and implement some location targeting on your ads. You have to make sure you're reaching your target audience. So that's location. Maybe I'm also trying to understand if more people are coming to my site on their computer or on their smartphone. So you can click on this mobile button right here, click on overview, and this will give you a breakdown of the devices that users are on when they come to the site and how many users are coming from that particular device. So in this instance, most of the users are coming from a computer, from a desktop, but we do still have about 33% of people coming on their mobile device. So the way I use this report is if I do see more people on the mobile coming to the site from their mobile device, that could be a great way to target your ads. So maybe only show the ad to somebody who's who sees the ad on their mobile device, and vice versa. You can consider if we have more people coming to the site or seeing the ad on their desktop. Maybe I'll only show ads to people who are on a desktop. So that's a really great way to use this report. But yeah, again, click through all of these, click on them, mess with the date ranges, mess with the columns, see what information you can get to really get comfortable with these reports. So again, audience is your traffic. Who are your users? Where are they coming from? What device are they coming on? Things like that. Acquisition, this is how users found your site. So acquisition, we'll click on this overview, and it's important to know that Google will categorize your traffic into what they call channels. So channels are essentially different methods of how people actually found your site. So direct is people either already had your website URL and copy and pasted it into the search bar. They typed in your business name into the search bar. So they came to your site directly without any other platform, without any other website, things like that. Paid search, this is where traffic came from your ad. So Google AdWords, you can set it up to have any paid ads from social get filtered in to paid search. It depends on how everything is set up. But yeah, paid search is the data from any active ads that you're running. Display, so this particular report, you'll see display. This is traffic that comes from the display ads. So this is pertaining to Google AdWords. Display ads were the ads with the images. So that's a way to understand what display versus any other paid activity that you see. Otherwise, affiliates, this just has to do with how this particular this particular report is set up. But what you'll often see in channels is organic search. So organic is important for any SEO work that you're doing. Organic search means they searched on Google and then they clicked on an organic result or an unpaid result. You'll see referral. So referral is if users came from an external site and then found your site. So if you have a blog on an external site, if you have a featured blog and then you have a link to your own website, if users are clicking on that ad and coming to your site, that will be referral.
Excuse me, Rachel.
Yeah.
We need to go into the breakout session. We're right on the clock. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but yeah, let's do this part. And then we can come back and talk a little bit. If you guys, I wrote all of your questions, so you still have more questions, you can do them on the chat, and we will try and answer all of this on our mentor session on Friday at noon. Caroline had to step away. And so everybody on cohort number 1 is going to be going to cohort number 2. You don't have to do anything. Nate already took care of that. What we're going to do on our activity is essentially talk about Google Analytics, if we have it or not, how do we use it, if we even use it. If we don't, then what do we want to use it for? What's the goal of using Google Analytics? And then we're going to come back at 10:25. We're going to close things up and we are going to talk about what's coming next week and a few other things. So Nate, you can send us to our breakout rooms now, please. And hey Nate, I think I saw Celiflora, but she's not in my cohort. She should be on number 5. And also Juan seems to be here, but he requested to be on a different one because we're speaking Spanish over there and he feels better with English.
Okay.
Thank you. Oh, and now I don't know. Never mind. I'm just going to go back to my breakout room.
So, okay. Yeah, I don't see. Hey, Juan, I'll try to get you in the right spot.
Oh,
Thanks.
I see. Oh, and I just found Celiflora, so I'm moving her to here.
Okay.
All right. And now I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, wait a minute. Actually, oh, yes, I can join. Never mind. Bye.
Bye. Hey, Juan, can you hear me? Sorry, Juan, if you're here, I'm trying to figure out how to make sure I get you into the right place. Hey, everybody. Anybody watching the recording, folks are in breakout rooms now, and we'll be back in approximately 10 minutes. Ron, congratulations. You're the first one back. Special prize.
Yeah, well, thank you. I actually was gonna just copy the chat, and then I need to leave a message that I got another meeting to run to. So thanks, Nate. Appreciate it.
Oh, of course. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Well, we got cut off. Breakout sessions are never enough time. But I just wanted to come back and share with you a little bit more. Let me just pull up. Oh, these are all of your questions. This is not what I want to share. I apologize for that. Oh, just clicking everything. All right. So I just want to confirm that the mentor hour with Rachel is this Friday at noon. Okay. So if you cannot go to the live session and you have questions, make sure you send me an email. And we can record this one depending on what kind of information is being shared over there. Sometimes we do not record mentor hours because we want to keep your privacy. Like, for example, if when we were working on numbers, that was a little bit more delicate. So we prefer to keep that only for the persons that were there. But this one, I think we can share, and that way you all can learn from each other. Now, next week, we're going to have Darren and Kate and Jill talk about your sales pitch and how to create effective funnels. So the funnels is that thing that they tell us. You try to reach a whole bunch of people and then you filter in so you can get more contact information and then be able to proceed to do your sales pitch and offer your products or services. So remember that that's happening next week, and the mentor hours for next week are on Thursday, November 4th at 10 in the morning. You should already have received a calendar invite, okay? And I want to take the moment right now to tell you about an event that Nate is hosting. Nate, you please invite them.
Yeah, hey everybody. If you happen to be close to Brownsville tonight, in the spirit of Halloween and Dia de los Muertos, we're hosting a spooky business pizza party. I'm buying pizza and the first drink, and we're just going to celebrate times that as entrepreneurs, you know, all of us have had where we've overcome some scary moments. So join us if you can. Be a fun time. That's
awesome. I wish I can go. I'm a little far from Brownsville, but I love pizza. If you guys click on here, I will send you an email following up. If you click over there, you can RSVP. Or you can just show up. I don't know what Nate thinks about that, but I just invited you without RSVPing. Okay. So that's all for today. If you guys have any further questions or anything like that, you can stay logged in. If you need to go, you can go ahead. Thank you for connecting and for being here, for being actively participating. Camelia is saying that she's going to see you in Brownsville, Nate. Woohoo! All right, I think we can stop the recording too.